Welcome to Earth 2 Comic Cast, where superheroes exist and comic book talk is the norm. It's your host, Mo Crosby. We're back again, another week, another review. We're here to give you Star Trek Discovery, Season 3. We're doing episode, I think, 7? Yeah, episode 7. With me to anchor this episode, as always, the confusing James and Stephanie. We have a couple guests that usually aren't on this show, but they used to be on this show, but they weren't on the show, but they're back on the show. Anthony, the drunk geek.
Hey, what's up?
They're supposed to pretend to eat, then turn around and be like,
hey.
And finally,
glad to be
Patrick,
here.
Smart guy with glasses.
What do you mean I'm not usually on this show? I've been on maybe more than half the episodes.
Have you? Kidding. Welcome, Patrick. Aren't you busy doing stuff?
Me? Yeah. I'm always like cooking breakfast when you decide to do these things. Do you know how the West Coast works?
No,
I don't even know how you got James out of bed. I was in bed. I literally rolled over.
Can we just take the miracles?
Said, we're recording.
Patrick, can we just take the miracles where they happen? Like, this is a miracle that we have everyone here. So let's just take this. Thank you.
It's because we're all fired up.
I don't understand why, because I thought this was the best Trek episode ever. I thought this was the best Discovery ever. I thought in all of Discovery, this is the defining moment of Star Trek Discovery. This is the defining moment of Michael Burnham. But let's not. You didn't come to hear from me because I'm.
It is the defining moment of Michael Burnham.
If it was just me on the show, you would hear nothing but great thoughts about the show. So let everybody go. Anthony, surprisingly, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about the episode when it ended? Just what you thought about it when it ended. That's it.
It didn't make sense. It was a very nonsensical episode.
Wow.
And they tried and they tried to wrap it in some nostalgia, because how can you not enjoy seeing Spock on there?
Time out.
Did you just say Morris pause me?
Yes. Yes, we have the show superstar. Hello. Patrick, who do we have the honor of meeting today?
This is Zia.
Oh, hey, Zia.
Oh my gosh. She fell in love with Baby Yoda this week. I showed her the video of Baby Yoda eating them cookies, and she I've never seen this child freak out more. Anyways.
That's not his name anymore.
No, not yet.
Not yet. But anyways, I guess she knows what she wants for Christmas. Anthony, I didn't mean to cut you off. Can you please go ahead?
No, what Patrick just did with the baby to make to make his intro a little more cute.
Right.
And that's what they did with Spock in this episode.
Wow.
100%.
Okay, I'm cutting you off right now. I'm cutting you off right now. Jane, no, Stephanie, what did you think when it was over, when it was done, when it wrapped?
Honestly, my thought was, if Mo didn't want me to do a podcast, I wouldn't finish the season.
Oh, thank you, Mo.
I'm not ready to give thanks yet.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Let's talk to the guy with the cute baby before we get to James. Patrick?
Can
Zia just speak for you?
What?
Can Zia just speak for you?
Can you speak for me?
No. Okay.
There you go.
That's it.
I seriously was considering canceling, and still am considering canceling my CBS All Access, because I was highly disappointed. But I was hoping you wouldn't start this way, because I want to talk about all the things I really, really liked about this episode.
No,
but
yeah.
Anyway,
James, finally.
I thought it was a really good episode. I thought it was classic Star Trek. It was like the politics that we loved from DS9 and Next Generation, and there were some things that I would love to have seen go down differently, but it was actually the first time Discovery did classic Star Trek.
By classic Star Trek, he means they did awful political things in the name of space exploration and
protecting. Let's just go. Let's just
courtroom scene.
Let's just go with Stephanie. What didn't you like?
Everything except for what happened with Tilly. I did
that
not.
That was actually, you know what? Go ahead.
I did not like. I didn't like anything that had to do with Navarre. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me dial that back. I do think it is super cool that we get to see what happens between Vulcans and Romulans as a result of Spock's work. That is super cool. I feel like, as Ant alluded to, they used Spock to pull you into the episode and to hype up your nostalgia, so you are less likely to notice all of the awful things in the episode. I did not. I felt like it was really rude to use Leonard Nimoy that way. Like, it felt offensive to me to have this like touching. I didn't like it. I didn't like that Mom showed up in the last moment to save the day, and by save the day I mean participate in treason, and it's totally treason. I don't understand why we got this really cool concept out of Picard. It was probably the coolest thing that came out of Picard is this order of nuns, the order of candor, and a human is in that order for some reason. I mean, we don't know exactly how long Mom, Gabrielle, is that her name, has been in the future exactly. It does not make sense to me that she would be accepted into that order and that she would be allowed to do a really high stakes mission like this.
So
illogical.
This is the same order that let Elnor be a part of it when he couldn't, when it's only a sect for women, right? So is this what we're questioning?
Yeah, but see, what doesn't make sense is, all right, so let's say she's been there a year or a couple of years, right? Just like, because she's she's in her 50s at least, right?
Actually, Anthony, can let's just go around and ask what everybody didn't like, because we will get into that for a second.
No, I mean, Anthony's speaking for me, so I'll let him keep talking.
So
Stephanie wasn't done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
just asked the question, and I just wanted to understand her point. I just wanted to understand your point. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think if any like secret Romulan order is gonna let strangers in, it is probably that one. But it's just such a MacGuffin. Like, it's just such a plot hook to make it like a high stakes episode instead of it being organic. And I didn't care for using Mom that way. I don't like that the president, so first of all, that Michael immediately jumps to a binding ritual instead of like, cool, I'll have dinner with you first to see if you really mean no. Like that, in that Saru let it happen is infuriating. They went to go on a diplomatic mission, and Michael threw diplomacy out the window in 30 seconds. And then the president made it very clear that now that you have invoked this is the ruling. Like, it's no longer up for negotiation after this quorum is over. Whatever they decide is what happens. And it bombs, it tanks because it was the wrong thing to do. And then eventually Michael realizes, I don't know. Some people think that she genuinely realized she did the wrong thing. I think she just realized that she made the wrong gamble. And so she wanted to bail. And regardless, she dips out, leaving these three core members are fractioned and they're about to go at war with each other. And Michael just dips out. She just says, peace. Like, I'm not dealing with this anymore because it's more than I bit off. And then she gets the data anyway. Like, that's treason. That is treason. The president told them that the quorum was going to decide it. The quorum told her no, and then the president gave her data anyway. So even if it makes sense politically, the lesson in the episode for people is push your luck and it'll win for you. Disregard people's culture and it will win for you.
That's how we know. That's how we know that she made the wrong gamble and didn't come to a realization, is because she takes the data. If she doesn't take the data, and if she really cared about those people more than she cared about, if she really cared about those people more than she cared about this whole obsession with the burn, then she would take actions that are best for those people. But that's not what she did.
She should have refused the data and said, I'm going to send you my findings anyway. If the truth is the truth, you will be able to discern what happened.
Okay, so I'm guessing Patrick and Anthony, what didn't you like? Just go ahead and say everything.
Why are we starting with the bad first?
Yes, we are.
But let's get on. So first, So first, this doesn't make any sense because let's go to Michael Burnham, right? How do they know who Michael Burnham is? The pretty much the preface of why we don't know about spore drive technology and wormhole technology and TG and DS9 and Voyager and all that is because they erased every mention of her. So this doesn't actually make sense that they would know who she is and just accept that she's Spock's sister. Spock's sister.
Question, Anthony. So do you think that inside of the time they've been there, they haven't asked them, investigated, they don't know anything about them? Like, do you think inside of that time
they've been there 3 weeks? They've been there 3 weeks.
And inside of 3 weeks, they investigated everybody. Granted, you saw them sit down with the only person you saw them sit down with was
the admiral said the admiral said there was no record of them. There's nothing to investigate.
Right? It's inconsistent. It's 100% not.
No. What I'm asking is, so we saw a scene where they sat down with Philippa and then interrogated her, pretty much, right? So again, the question is, so inside of the 3 weeks that they've been there, do you think it's possible that they could know
who
that Starfleet, the Federation,
whatever's left? How would the Vulcans know who Michael Burnham was to reveal much?
You're talking about Michael and not Starfleet, right? I'm sorry, you're talking about the Vulcans.
Right. How would the Vulcans know who she was to revere her so much? But if you want to go to Starfleet, why is the Admiral saying, hey, and nobody knows in this room about this spore drive, and I don't want to hear anybody else talk about it until I give the order? Didn't Discovery quantum leap 3 times or something like that since they've been at Starfleet, like in front of all the other ships? But that's not even what I was talking about. How do you know who
the windows don't work? I'm trying to tell you. I try to tell everybody, but nobody listened to me.
Any
fake windows.
Also, besides the martial arts aspect of the candor, I like the idea of a truth-telling order and a society full of. That was a really good explanation of why that society needed to exist. That probably made it better for me than it was in Picard. But it's unnecessary. You don't believe Michael, and you don't believe her intentions, and you're on a planet full of telepaths. This is a mind meld away to solve this whole solution if you don't believe her intentions or to trust what she actually wants to do with this information. Right? No?
Yeah,
I can't see y'all.
But I thought the whole quorum was supposed to be about logic and truth and so, like it wasn't. So like you have to convince.
No, what are you doing?
Yeah, I have to convince. I can't see other people's faces. So can I get the other screen? Yeah, thanks.
I'm sorry. I just asked the question again. It's the quorum was supposed to be about truths, right? You're supposed to convince the quorum, right? So why would you mind meld? It's a question.
So what they were questioning, what I got, was her intentions and why she wanted to do this, and whether they were being trustworthy, right? Am I wrong on this? So again, you're on a planet full of trained telepaths. like this is a mind meld away from. So those are 2 illogical things right off the bat. And unless there was going to be some ritual combat, there was no need for a candor nun to be there. And it could have been some ritual combat. Vulcans love their rituals, so there could have been. But no, and then it turned out to be her mom. And even if you say she was there for 5 years, you're telling me she's past the levels of Shaolin monks in 5 years? Like this doesn't make any sense.
She was a scientist before, right? Like she doesn't have a background in combat.
Right. So what was this? And actually, when she went through the wormhole, from I understand how they were doing this, she should have went back to the apocalyptic timeline, not this timeline. And how did she survive landing on the planet? None of that made sense. But let's talk about this. The burn. Why is this a pressing question? You in this episode, you told me that lithium was running out anyway, because they want to put it in that this is a very anti-authoritarian, socialism idea of Trek, right? Those are the views they are posting out there. If that's the case, and dilithium isn't a reasonable power source anyway or a conductor for warp drive anyway, why are you wasting time and resources trying to figure out what happened to dilithium? You should be devoting those resources into adapting the spore drive to every other ship or anything else besides doing that there. So right there in this episode, you've made it. If it was saying we need to figure this out so we can all use dilithium again, Maybe. But you just told us it was running out, right? You were just telling us that the Federation was a failure. So it doesn't make sense in your own canon. So so I mean those
it makes sense in the sense that Michael does what Michael wants, regardless of what's the better good.
And also, that's the key. That's the key thing. It's about what Michael wants. And,
no.
And
James,
the good thing about
James was saying something.
I'm not done yet. One more thing. One more thing. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, James. But I have one thing about the Michael Saroon thing. So
I think it makes sense if you believe, as Michael probably does, that the burn was an attack on the Federation. You need to know who attacked the Federation.
Thank you.
You can make sure that another attack doesn't happen when you solve the
It happened 150 years ago. Whatever the attack was, it did its damage.
Being concerned about if the burn was an attack is a fair thing to be concerned about, but in order for that information to be useful or like worthwhile of your time, you have to convince the people that it impacted that it's worth figuring out. Because even if she figures out what happened and she finds the solution, it's not going to freaking change anything because everyone is adapted to the lithium, fraught land. It's pointless. It's because
right now, Michael's like one of those people posting YouTube conspiracy theories about how 9/11 was planned by the government. Like, what she needs to do is
150 years after 9/11.
She's not going about it the right way.
After 9/11.
Okay, Patrick, go ahead.
I have one more thing. And that's the other thing was the Saroon Michael thing, right? Saroon is captain, and they won't let him be captain. And so when she goes there, and they're like, "Hey, we gotta work this out." Michael goes, "I challenge you to a quorum." In any other Star Trek, they went back to the ready room, discussed it as a team, come up with a plan. Like, well, we have one option, sir. What's that option? We can do this ritual. All right, do it. This is my problem. Everybody. Again, this is an anti-authoritarian show, right? But they won't. They are making these ranks and this team irrelevant. This is just Michael does whatever Michael does. That even if you're right, that would not fly on any other Star Trek ship that we've seen. Any other Star Trek ship that we've seen. No. What ship? You think Cisco's letting that? You know how many times Cisco shut Kara down when he knew Kara was right? You know how many times
right?
Well then
remember when Data,
this is not my problem.
Remember when Data pulled Worf into his office and said, "Hey, you are not acting like a first officer." He's like, "Well, it's my job to tell you when other alternative paths and solutions." He's like, "Yeah, but not in front of the crew and not without my permission. Your thing is to give me private counsel and then carry out my orders once I've made a decision."
Now this is my problem with Saroon.
Well,
go back though.
And then Tilly. I got to get to the Tilly thing. That promotion to me was a disservice to her character.
Thank you very much.
It was a touching moment.
Yes,
but
it was.
And that's my.
Her promotion was just so we can get that little scene at the end. We support you, and that's it. That was the only thing that was great about her promotion was for that scene at the end. Patrick, go ahead. Wait, Anthony actually has a mic.
So it's interesting because I'm not as upset about a lot of the details that everybody else is upset about, but I'm really offended and hurt by the message of this episode, and I'd rather be on the side of being upset about the details because the details are easy to ignore and be like, well, who cares, this episode. But the message of this episode, instead, I feel like the writers preached a message basically in this episode that was unethical, honestly unethical. And so that's what I don't like about this episode. And it's frustrating because everybody's assuming that as I talk about this, I'm caught up in those details. And actually, I love Navarre. I actually liked the use of Spock. I thought it was cool to finally see Spock's vision brought to fruition. I thought that the Monk Order or whatever.
Talking about what you like. No, don't talk about what you like yet.
The truth tellers made sense to bring them together. But, however, the way that Michael treated the Navarre Society on that bridge, the way that she clearly had a thing she wanted, and she saw an entire planet of people serving the sole purpose of having a thing she wanted and was willing to do whatever it took to that planet to get the thing she wanted. That's how America treats the Middle East for oil. That's how, like, that is like.
Okay, you're
there are
kind of
so,
pushing it.
No,
No,
I'm not.
No,
I'm not
that
pushing it at
is
all.
pushing.
no, let him.
That
speak.
is not pushing it.
Okay.
She had a thing she wanted. She was very like self-obsessed on that thing, and she did not care what damage she left in the wake. And then at the end, you think, oh, maybe she's come to a realization about this. But she didn't come to a realization, because she then does an action that will and could place that same planet back into all of the problems to get the thing she wants. And not only that, but the mom was in on it. And the reason we know the mom is in on it is because the mom says during the whole thing, they are not the only audience. So the mom knows that there's this potential for this back channel to occur. So it's just, to me, it is unethical. And not only that, but they talk about Michael having a savior complex. Book is the real truth teller in this episode, and really calls Michael out on her savior complex. And I thought, awesome, we're gonna see why savior complexes are bad. They're bad. And instead, by the end, the savior complex is like, it's literally heralded. At the end, they're like, I can see why Spock learned so much from you. Like, it is super upsetting to me, and I don't know what to do about it, because it's not like other episodes of Discovery that I liked or didn't like. It's an underlying message that was essentially preached by this episode, and so and to hear it preached by Star Trek, which I love, is like, it's hurtful. It's hurtful.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
And I think it says a lot.
I'm so sorry to do this to you, James. Okay. Well,
no, I think it's really selling. This is the episode that Patrick's like, I'm done. Like I'm considering.
You just wanted to get that in there. Okay. He's not done. He's coming back next week. We'll see you next week, Patrick.
Wait,
James.
hold on. Can you stop being dismissive of the way that we feel about this episode? Like, Patrick and I are legitimately upset about the way that this franchise has developed, and you're washing it away like it's a funny gimmick. It's not.
He's not done. He's gonna be back next week, because Patrick.
You don't know that. He just said he's contemplating canceling the subscription.
Are you going to cancel your subscription next week and not come back and do this episode?
No, but here's what I did. I looked up when my subscription ends, which is December 15th, right? And I'm going to continue watching until then. And right about then, I'm going to decide whether I continue. And if I don't know, it's very likely that I may cancel the subscription, because I don't want to give them my money. So
yeah,
I'm
not enjoying it.
Yeah,
like
so
I think
that's the issue. And the thing is, I'm different than Anthony. I was enjoying it. I was really enjoying I felt like they were doing really positive character development for Michael. Michael was making sense. Lots of other things I love the new setting. I love the world that we exist in. I love Navarre. I like the idea that to see Spock's vision realized is so cool. But you can't preach this kind of message and have me be like, yeah, that's totally cool. I can look the other way. Especially, like, this stuff's really important to me. Like, to me, that's, yeah, like, taking advantage of other societies is a big deal to me. So, yeah.
And let me preface that. I've actually enjoyed this season more than I think I've enjoyed any of the seasons up until this point. But there has been an underlying message we talked about every week about what they do to other cultures. Like, what they've done to every other culture that they have, interacted with, has pretty much robbed them of their cultural identities at some point, or artifacts, or things like that. It's weird. And it's also like, I see you're making women the head of every planet, but can one of these planets be functional if you're going to make the women like I see what you're going there with making women leaders, and I'm all for that. I am not,
And I've had friends.
So, question: wasn't Earth functional? Because Earth was functional, they just had beef with somebody. They were at war with someone they thought were aliens trying to steal their resources. So they were functional. They were ready for whatever.
I got a Starship Trooper vibe from that Earth. I don't know what y'all got.
So the question was Earth functional?
I got a Star Trek Trooper vibe from that. I don't know what you got.
Yes or no?
No, because a 30-second conversation solved the problem. So no, their military leadership was not astute and was not serving their planet to the best of their ability.
Okay, question. Has any one of you actually lived in a country under military rule?
No.
Okay, so
does this one count?
I've lived in a police state.
Okay.
Does this count?
Does
this country count?
No.
So,
No.
I mean,
like
I'm not
under
talking here
where
either.
the leader, where the president is a military, like it's military state, it's military rule, and that is exactly how that functions. You don't have conversations like that because you think everyone is coming in there for something, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you
that's
don't-
just what it is.
Functioning.
what Anthony meant wasn't functional as in the dictionary definition. He meant thriving. He meant doing
Yes.
well. Yes, the military state of Earth was doing its job. It does not mean that was a job it should have been doing.
You're right. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you, boo.
Damn it, Stephanie. We're gonna get back to
But-
arguing at some point.
Okay, I think maybe I'm misunderstanding what's going on here. It's inside of your government, your people are okay. You just don't want anyone else coming in. That's
That's
to
called
me-
xenophobia.
well, that has nothing. Go ahead.
There's another
topic. We're getting off a topic.
There's
Okay,
another
I'm sorry,
point I really
James.
need to make.
James. Okay,
Okay, sorry. Go ahead,
yeah,
James.
because James hasn't gone, and he's just has to sit down and listen to everyone.
I agree that Michael Burnham's decision was wrong to call that special quorum, and that bothered me when it happened. And I agree with your frustrations, all of you, about that happening. However, I think that to hold her guilty for making that decision, and then also hold her guilty for making the right decision to realize, oh crap, I'm in over my head, and this culture will fall apart if I do this. I need to back out. Is wrong. I would rather a character make the right decision, correct their behaviors, and change, which is what she did. Now, you can be upset that she accepted the data afterwards, but that doesn't necessarily mean that her motive in pulling out of the council was wrong. It means that she's stupid,
Okay.
ignorant.
Can I answer James in a calm and measured way without interruption? So I hear what you're saying. There are two issues with that for me, James. Number one, her turn for me personally was not compelling. It was not a compelling turn. It did not come naturally, and I still don't totally understand her turn into like going from this I want to be an independent person doing good in the world to I'm all in on Starfleet. Like that whole turn didn't work for me. For me, it felt like one of those Full House moments where like Danny Tanner like goes up and talks to the girls and they cry it out, and suddenly whatever the problem was is gone. Like I didn't see development over time. It was very odd to me. And then for me, the other issue is that she then, so at that point you're like, I don't know, is this real or is it not? And then you can see two things. Number one, it's not real because she accepted the data, but forget her accepting the data. What's important is the message being taught by the episode. And the message taught by the episode was that she was rewarded for her previous actions, her first actions, by getting this data that she wanted. And basically being rewarded by being the savior to all. And so that's why I was really disappointed and offended, and why that second moment, even though they kind of like ran it almost like a stinger tag on to the whole show, it undermined any foundation, which was very, in my opinion, flimsy, they had built for this change in Michael in the first place.
I think that they shouldn't have given her the data. I won't hold that back, but I don't see them as rewarding her for the first decision. The president was clearly upset that she made the first decision. She was rewarding the second decision and showing that she agreed that the second decision to pull out of the conference and showing that she was trustworthy was important.
It's not the president that rewarded her. It's the show that rewarded her. And it's hard to explain the difference. But it's about, for me, a show is written by people, and those people have control over what the story they are telling. And so that is, again, core to my issue with this episode.
So you're not.
There's one. Can I say one other thing?
Okay.
Real quick, Mo. A lot of people have been talking to me about how there is no way for Michael to have been taking advantage of the people of Navarre because she is a Black female, and a Black female, like this show is for our society of this time. And so a Black female couldn't take advantage because, you know, that's a disadvantaged position in our society, which is totally true. But for me, that actually made it more offensive. Like, for me, it was more offensive to see a black female character taking advantage of another society. Because, again, there were people writing these words that were put into her mouth. And so, anyways, I just wanted to answer that because multiple of my friends have told me, if that was a white male character, I would be with you, Patrick. But because it was a black female character, she totally has the impetus to like.
I'll say this. I'll say this again, just echoing James. I don't think she took advantage of them. I, for one, saw it happen. I was like, it was like watching or playing chess or watching chess happen, and you just knew she got mated and she was done. She had no other move. She had nothing else to say, and right then and there, she knew she had been defeated. It was like, I'm not gonna say it's Queen of.
Mo, I feel like she didn't see them as people. Like, that's to the core of everything. I feel like she never saw them as people, and she was using her sisterhood of Spock as this like way of just getting things done, rather than she's like loved by these people. Those people were ready to adore her and to like honor her, and she was using that to her advantage rather than honoring them. In you know, like something was really off for me. Yeah, I'm really sorry.
It's a clear perspective on the writers, and I've been really interested to see who the writers are, because it's a clear, they have a clear perspective on how they look at it. Like in this show, they value emotion over logic or science, right? So just that, I mean, that's when you have like things like the promotion or anything like that. I also have it's something else to have a problem with. Okay, but I it's on a different topic.
Okay, Anthony, let's actually get to this. So I feel like this is something we should discuss. I want to hear everybody's thoughts on. I can almost guess that Stephanie loved it, the promotion. Like, if this episode was 50 minutes of Tilly promotion, Stephanie would be here saying, this is the best.
The only reason that I genuinely love it is because it's temporary. I do think that jumping rank like that is inappropriate. I do think that Anthony has a point that is a disservice to her character overall. And I do think it would have been more interesting if she had turned it down. But I am absolutely here for that, like endorsing, like Saru's endorsement of Tilly, and like just cementing and affirming their relationship, and that it's close, and that they rely on each other. And I love that she grappled with it. I love that she really struggled with whether or not she should accept it, because even though this show is anti-authoritarian, she still believes in the system, and she recognizes that this is wrong, and she doesn't say yes until the crew convinces her that she should, which we already knew that everyone would follow Tilly no matter what. So it was really touching, and you know, I needed that like cathartic emotional moment after the BS of the episode.
Since we're here, let's just go ahead and ask James.
Since we're here,
let's just go ahead. We're here already, so let's just ask James how he felt about it, because I feel like he hasn't gotten ready to say anything. Yeah,
I liked it. I think the complaints about jumping rank aren't they don't bother me, because that happens all the time in military type situations. There might be someone better suited from a training standpoint for rank, but not that we've seen on the show. And we're following like the command crew, right? So like none of them want that role. She I think in the first episode we ever saw her said that she was going to be a captain. So
yeah, they painted her character this way for a long time, and so there is some satisfaction in seeing that move forward, for sure.
I think actually the problem, I mean, I agree. I enjoyed it. First of all, I was like 5 minutes of the whole episode. Like, I don't think we realized how little of the episode was this, even though it was really cool. It would have been easy for her to be promoted after her actions in the second episode, and I think that would have helped. And I think that I am all for her promotion. However, since episode 3, we've been like looking forward to this journey for her, and we kind of missed some of the journey. Like, we didn't get to see her kind of move through, and that's not the fault of this singular episode. but it's something they could have been doing more throughout Discovery. Is like we could have been following Tilly move up the ranks over time, and that would have, I feel like, made this conclusion more satisfying. But I totally agree that the crew, I mean, what's interesting is how they've treated her, because they haven't really treated her like an ensign. So of course the crew's like, yeah, this is totally fine, because she's been on the bridge like for every major event that's pretty much occurred, if she isn't down with Stamets, right? So yeah, I was excited about it. It was just it was like 5 minutes of the whole episode. So again, I would like to see more of them and that. And I would have liked to have seen more of what Saru was doing with the president, was the way Star Trek usually is supposed to handle these situations.
And
I don't agree with the Tilly promotion thing.
Thank you.
I don't
know
what military you're thinking of, because like I've been on forums all day and people say that happens in militaries all the time, and I've had military people come on and be like, no it doesn't. Like no one's going from the cadet to the XO. She's only been an ensign for like a year. like she was a cadet.
Well, technically 1,000 years, but
also, Harry Kim, I know somewhere in your grave you're rolling over saying, "Damn it, January." I feel you, bro. I feel you. You know, one love to Harry Kim. So this is why this show has a pattern of just doing things and yada yadaing how they happen, right? We don't get to see the romantic tension between Book and Michael Burnham. We just episode, oh no, and now they're together. We don't get to see the transition and the struggle of being 1,000 years in the future. Nope, 3 weeks, you're good, you're all caught up. And it's a trend to just do these things and not. Dang it, that baby is stopping me from cussing. And
she can't even hear you. But yeah, don't curse. Don't curse.
She can't hear you.
But yeah, don't do it. She's on screen, so don't do it.
Okay. So I'm trying to quick use my words. So the Tilly,
struggling to find the words, huh?
So the Tilly promotion is, we should have seen her grab the work. We should have seen her earn this position. Her natural aptitudes are not enough. And we need to stop preaching this, right? You can be great at something, but if you don't work at it, you're going to have a hard time, right? That happens. You can be the best basketball player there is in your high school. You're the best basketball player there is in college. But if your work ethic is in there, if you're not going up to the ranks, doing what your coach tells you, going to practice, doing the
practice.
What?
Practice? Yeah. Oh, no, never mind. You get the reference?
No. Is it about a basketball player? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I can't remember his name, but like he's a good
Allen Iverson.
You can have a lot of natural ability and a lot of aptitudes, but those have to be cultivated. You have to put in your time. And you just jumped over all these other people that put in their work to get through the rank and everything like that. And the writers justified it of saying the crew's okay with it. And it was a touching scene, but you made them feel like props to me. They felt like more two-dimensional characters than they ever had.
I disagree because
I think that conversation.
She did it right. I disagree because I think she did it right. She understood this was not normal, not something that was normal. And she went around.
You're missing my point. She went around and
talked to the whole crew.
I'm not saying that
she wants to listen.
I'm not saying that that's what the crew is saying. I'm saying
you're talking about the writers, just like how Patrick brought up the writers.
The writers gave her an out. The writers gave her an out instead of one crew person going, "Wait, I spent 3 years as an ensign, or I spent
commander school.
5 years. I went through commander school. I did all this other stuff, and you just because Saru likes you, you're the XO, and I also wonder if that's the reason why they got rid of that other character that stayed with the guy's family died. Like, I wonder if that's because they got rid of her to make room for Tilly. It's a weird trend in this show.
I still don't think she's gone.
Zia, can you say, Uncle Anthony, you crazy? Uncle Anthony, you crazy.
I agree, it could have been more satisfying, right? If Saru had given her a promotion of like level instead of making her the number one, that would have been a peg in Tilly's overall journey.
And they
that
could have done that in season 2 or episode 2.
But you also feel like,
but
make her the leader of some away teams.
Like it's not permanent,
make her
right?
a leader of some away teams. Let us see her be a commander. Let somebody try to justify that she pretended to be a captain when they were in the mirror universe. Well, she does have experience. She pretended to be the captain in that one episode.
No,
because this is an arc that they've been building up for the whole time, so it would have been more satisfying to watch her.
I think it's possible for Saru to do this well if he treats this like a training exercise, right? If he really sticks to that, this is temporary, right? Like I'm just leaning on you until I establish my long-term number one is,
right,
and then and then at the end of that promotes her to the next level so that she can continue on. I think this can be done well long term. But mostly the reason I'm not nitpicking it is because I just needed that serotonin in the rest of that train wreck episode.
Okay, and I think because we like Tilly. I
think that's what it is. Yes.
We like Tilly. So we give this a pass, right? But if this was Wesley 100%. Crusher, we would be riding.
Oh no.
And I think an easy fix for this, if this they wanted to do, when they went through the portal and they should give them a limited crew, they went through the portal, then you could have gave her a battlefield promotion. You could have gave her a wartime promotion, and that would have worked a lot better because that stuff actually happens.
That's what I was going to when I said that.
But just regular, we have a whole fleet of ships. It doesn't even make sense that they're still in the same uniforms, and they're not mixing people with more experience in the century or on that ship. But you have a fleet.
Yeah, they should have like an ambassador or something on their ship that's like from the century.
Right, but instead they just go, no, Tilly, you're second in command. If Saru dies, you're captain. Like what? like what?
I have a problem with Saru as captain, and I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna be mad at me for this. I think he's still Kelpian, if that makes sense. He's still like no, but you understand what I'm saying? He's still like fear, ganglia, Kelpian. He's not I've lost my ganglia, I've lost my food part of me, captain. And he's making decisions like that. It's the same thing of when he went to Earth and he couldn't make that decision. And why Michael did what she did is because I know for a fact that if she had that conversation that everyone said she should have had with Saru first, the episode would have probably been a part 2. Because we'd be having a conversation and trying to figure out what to do. We probably tried diplomacy at first in the first part of it, yes. And then the second part of it, Michael would just be like, F it. I'm just going to do what I have to do to get things done.
Mo, would you be happier if Michael was captain then? Essentially, is that what are you arguing that Michael should be captain? Essentially,
I'm not saying no. I like Saru as captain, and I liked Michael as a number one because she gives him the absolute. Oh, wow, did I kick it? Wow, I'm sorry, Aunt. Okay, he's like, nah, I'm not listening to this. I like Saru as captain. I think the best decision for Discovery, the ship itself, is to have a level-headed captain. But I also don't think Saru says a lot of things with his chest. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're saying, but I think you're expecting him to have an overhaul of character in a short period of time. How long has he actually been without his ganglia? Like a couple months? It's going to take him a long time to trust a different set of instincts.
Also,
no, because
one of the great things about Star Trek is all the captains are different and command differently.
That's fair.
I think Saru is a different kind of commander. He's a different kind of leader.
But then, so maybe he needs a number one who's just going to be like, look,
blaming Saru for how Michael acts, I think, is wrong. It's just wrong.
I guess we could have that conversation so many ways, but I see.
No, Stephanie's gonna say something. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I think it's important to realize that Saru is growing in multiple dimensions right now. He's growing in terms of just his Starfleet career of like moving through the ranks and grappling with new responsibilities that come with those ranks. He's growing in the fact that he is fundamentally changed as a living creature, right? His primary moving factor was fear, and now it is not. That is a huge thing to move through and navigate and learn. But third is how he relates to the world in relation to Michael, right? Seasons 1 and 2 were them being constantly pitted against each other, constantly moving behind each other and around each other. And so that's another avenue that he has to explore. He can't be the Saru that responds to Michael anymore. He has to be the Saru that proactively moves towards Michael. And that's a lot to grapple with, even if you aren't grappling with the other 2 dimensions that he's wading through right now, not to mention everything else that everyone else on the ship is going through, right? Like of now being 1,000 years in the future, his whole culture is gone. Everything that he knows to be true and to be like the touchstone of his life has been removed. So I think the writers are not allowing Saru, to be a captain, right? The admiral keeps stepping in and telling him what to do instead of letting him be a captain. But also, Saru is still trying to find his path, and I don't think we should chide him for that. Like, he's making an effort and he's trying.
But that's the thing is, if you're, like, I think making Tilly, like, just, it was a pure emotional decision. It was not. Anthony said earlier, I think the show is relying more on emotions as opposed to logic. Like, him making Tilly a number 1 or second in command wasn't logical. Isn't it doesn't. There's no basis where that actually works.
There is, because when he says, because you are right, it is an emotional decision, but I don't think it's his emotions. When he says, I'm making the decision that is best for the ship, he recognizes that Discovery is fractured right now. They are hurting, they are lost, they are confused, and they're scared. And what they need to rally behind is making Tilly look good, right? The new Federation is scary. They're not sure where they fit in with that, but they love Tilly. And so it is for the emotional health of the entire ship to put her in the forefront, because he knows everyone is going to rally for her. Everyone. People have mixed feelings about Michael, but everybody loves Tilly.
Okay, so can I say something about? I actually like Saru's captain style for this season. I think that he's a character that actually put in the work and the time, and he doesn't have to be Picard. He doesn't have to be Cisco. He doesn't have to be Janeway. He doesn't have to be Archer. He doesn't have to be what's your boy though? What's his name? I forget him.
Lorca.
The goat. Lorca. Or whatever.
The goat.
So, and I think that
the greatest of all time.
I think that the way he's been talking to. Even this episode with the Vulcan president, that was I actually like that. I love that so much. I like that. I saw a lot of the fan base turn on him because he demoted Michael and say that he was actually his weakness. I think that she gets such a pass, and I don't know what this is that people think that, and I can't say what I want to say.
Yes, please.
What? This is what I think. I think that Saru as a captain is great, and I think that if they acknowledge that Michael has been his weak point because they've got this brother and sister relationship, I will love that storyline. It seems like they were going to that. But the fact that Michael just overstepped him again and did that whole ritual thing, the fact that she's still in meetings with the admiral. When that's not, you're a science officer. I don't see how you still kept your rank either, but that's not your role. Why are you walking with Saru when he's talking to the admiral? It really. I think they're gonna have. I think they have more balance to do where you this can't be the Michael show. Now I think the crew works better without Michael in a lot of instances, and they need to find a place where she fits, where she's not the answer to everything, and going out your way to make a whole planet worship Michael when it didn't make sense in your canon, and even trying to attribute Spock's character to Michael, like it's letting Spock be Spock, and I get that you're trying to make a politics. And I was talking to someone this week. They were telling me that their mom, who grew up in the era with Lieutenant Uhura, and how they felt just seeing her on there, now seeing a vocal Black woman on screen, and that she has to work. They have to work this line about not being the stereotype of aggressiveness for Black women, but also working this. Like it's a tough tightrope. But I think, and someone told me before, it's like we don't need really good characters. We need OP Mary Sue characters too. And I think that that's a disservice. I think that we need good characters. We need good character writing. And I don't necessarily blame the actress. The actress does a great job. I don't blame where the character could. There's a lot of foundations here. I think that her jumping into the Trill pool is a good picture of why this show struggles at times, or at least for me, it doesn't work for me.
That's fair. So, final thoughts, everyone. I'll start with Patrick because you seem the most affected by this episode. Well,
well, I don't know. My final thoughts are essentially I'm going to continue watching until my subscription ends, and then I'll see kind of where things are. And I have really, it's sad, honestly, because I've really enjoyed this season. I've really enjoyed this show. And maybe this will just be a one-off that I can talk about forever as a Star Trek episode that I felt like preached a morally wrong message, in my opinion, and we could move on. Or maybe this is telling of kind of the direction the writers view the world, and I'm gonna have to say I can't endorse that. And so I'll be curious. I'll be very curious to see what the next episode does, not just with Michael's character, but just the like story it tells. Because now, more than anything, it's important to me what is the story, what is the message that this show is sending out to people, and if I find it morally wrong, then I can't support it. So that's where I am.
Patrick, before we go or you go, I have to ask you a question. What if the writers are taking a mirror? Because you mentioned the thing about how America is to everyone else, right? We're taking advantage. What if the writers are taking a mirror and saying, okay, well, this is what it looks like, for certain people that don't see it as that, for some people that don't see.
Yeah, I would be for that. I hope that's right. I hope that there are ramifications actually for these actions.
And so that's what I was getting to next. Like, if they fix it in a couple episodes, are you gonna walk back these words, or are you just gonna be like, okay,
I will.
Okay,
absolutely, I absolutely will. If there are ramifications, and this isn't seen as a positive thing, but is a negative thing, that Michael's obsession, it's the selfishness, the fact that she doesn't see them as a people. I feel like nobody should get this better than like me and you, Mo. Like, her not seeing the people in Navarre as people, but just as an ends to a mean, is like, it's wrong. And so,
right.
I hope that message is walked back. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. James and Stephanie, final thoughts.
Similar to Patrick, I think there is an opportunity in the next episode to follow through on what happened this week. And one of the, like, I'm really looking to see, like, is there an apology from Michael? Does she do anything to make right what she wronged? Is there a follow-up from Saroon to show Michael, like, you stepped out of line, don't ever do something like that again, or I will completely remove you from the ship? If there's something along those lines to like really send clear that message of what happened this episode is not right and it's wrong, it will go a long way for me. However, Star Trek has this history of having really controversial episodes and not really doing anything about it. You see a lot of problematic trends in every single Star Trek. There's rape culture throughout all of it. There's racism and xenophobia throughout all of it. And they don't really do a good job of addressing that. So I don't have a lot of faith that they will this time either. And that might just be like the final nail in the coffin for me.
And can I say one real quick thing before James goes? And that's just that the way that when she brought that data to the rest of the science officers, the way that moment was treated, didn't give me a lot of hope that there was going to be
like a war prize.
Yeah.
There's two questions I'll ask. Okay, so that moment, I'm sorry, James. In that moment, they were having an emotional like thing with Tilly, right? So maybe that time was just a response, right? Do you see it as that, or no? It's just this should have been like
maybe. I hope that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I was a little frustrated that they it seems like what they're doing is they're glossing over to the rest of the crew what really happened. Like this thing didn't go well, but we're not going to tell you about it. We're just
weren't they in there? I could have sworn that on one end was the Vulcans. Yeah, they all stood up as she walked past. They were all in there.
They were all there for the meeting. One half was Federation,
one half
was more problematic. That no one else on the crew was like, "Hey, this maybe shouldn't happen."
But they didn't see them. They didn't see them get the data though. So I think maybe that part, as you said, may have just been, oh well, now I have it.
Right, but no one called Michael out on it. They watched that happen, and no one was like,
they don't know how she got the data, which means
I'm saying that they should have called her out, regardless of getting the data or not.
So you're okay. So outside of getting the data in the moment or any point,
should have been like, "Yo, Michael, you've got to learn to think for 30 seconds before you talk." Someone should have that conversation with Michael. If they, especially those who were on the bridge.
I agree.
I
agree. Michael does not act like someone who has who's been going up the command structure and was groomed to be the replacement captain for so many years at Saroon. It's just really weird the way she, and they want to act like this is because she's been gone for a year, but she's been doing this the whole show. Yeah. So it's just very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful, and it's kind of like just because I don't know. It's like she just disregard the rules at any time. And someone argued with me that Kirk disregarded the rules all the time, and so we had to break down that Kirk broke the rules a handful of times in life and death situations.
It was 3 seasons worth of Kirk. In 3 seasons, a handful is still a lot.
No, Kirk broke the rules twice in the 3 seasons. He didn't really break the rules until he got to the movie. So
let's backtrack and let James talk.
Oh, I thought James really went. I'm so sorry.
I started the interruption train. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, like I said, I agree that Michael's initial actions were wrong. I think that her choosing to walk away from it was the right decision, and I don't agree that everything after that was wrong. And only time will tell. Like both Patrick and Stephanie have said, we'll see if they walk things back in the next few episodes. Whether they walk things back, to me, is a different question than whether or not they act correctly going forward. I think that we can move forward from here in a good way without necessarily directly bringing it up. I do think that Michael needs to be called out, but she's needed to be called out for 3 seasons now, and the only people willing to do that are her supervisors. And Saru's not quite there, so I don't know.
I'm a little confused by your stance on this, because I know in the real world, like, you are a very strong proponent for not just apology. I'm going to use a religious term, but not just apology, but actual repentance. And we didn't see that from Michael. She makes no effort to acknowledge the harm she's done. She made no effort to right the wrong that she has done.
She acknowledged it. She saw in the room that that her asking for the data was going to break apart the entire society. And rather than go down that path, she said, you know what, this is the wrong call. I withdraw my request.
Right. If a counselee said, I made the wrong request of you as my spouse, and left the room, would that be an acceptable way for them to?
It's a different scenario. We're talking about a ceremony. The only way that she had out was to say, I made the wrong call.
She didn't say I made the wrong call. She just said, I withdraw my request. She didn't acknowledge that it was wrong.
She also offered an entire path of repentance, saying, here's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to send you the data, and you can make the decision going forward. She actually does do, like, I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was
in the most Michael way ever. Oh, wow. We have someone else in here. Who else is in here?
I'm all for characters making mistakes, but the story rewarded her for the arrogance. I think I'm all for James when she says, I'm doing a lot of harm. I don't think she handled that right then. I'm just saying, walk out the room. Anyway, guys, thank y'all for this time on our show. We'll see you next week.
Man.
But anyway, James, I just wanted to tag that on. Or is it my turn? Is it my turn? Can I say what I thought?
I think you just used your turn, though. No? You had more?
A little bit.
Oh, you do have
I don't know. I think that it's just, I'm with Patrick. I've enjoyed this season more than I've enjoyed the other seasons, in some regards, but I just can't justify this anymore. If this is the direction they're going in, and because I feel like there's a cultural issue every episode at this point, so I'm just gonna have to I don't know. That's where I'm at. I don't want to spend money on this anymore.
You know
Maybe
what?
I'll get it.
So this is great, right? So Kyle, you're here now.
Yes.
You made it. Okay, great. Just go ahead and tell us in 30 words or less. I don't know, and as many words as you can use. What you liked, what you didn't like, how you felt about the episode, and would you be coming back? Because we have 3 non-committers for the rest of the season. Should I say it like that?
With grunts and moans, but no words.
The Witcher, Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing on it. I actually really enjoyed the episode. I'm really not seeing, I think, where the disconnect is for me here, because Burnham feels very much like Kirk to me. She's in the mold of this Federation hero or captain that is frequently going rogue based off of some inner conviction that they're doing the right thing. And occasionally there's pushback that they face there, but there's generally no real long-term consequences. In fact, her demotion, the previous episode down from first officer was one of the more kind of significant penalties we've seen in Trek for kind of common practice of going way off and then it just being kind of hand waved away like, well, you were right after all, or we see your motivation, so you're fine. Saru actually said, no, I don't trust you anymore. And that was something we saw Burnham kind of struggling with this whole episode, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed this explicit exploration of, do I fit in Starfleet? Or is my insubordination a sign that maybe I belong somewhere else rather than in this kind of rigid organization? And in terms of other aspects of it, it was fun to see Burnham pull on her status as an adopted child of Vulcan, right? She leveraged all of these angles that she had that were unique to her, being from Vulcan, right? She might be, as a species, human, but she was raised by a Vulcan family. She was adopted by a Vulcan family. And I think it's really easy to forget that. We often want to see her as human and as Federation, when the show's gone through a lot of pains to show us that she's actually kind of belonging nowhere, right? She's trapped between two worlds all the time. And yeah, that's modeled after Spock, but I think it works, and I think it's interesting. And I enjoyed when she realized that she had fractured that quorum, that they were not going to come to a yes or a no. They were just going to come to a let's burn it all down. She withdrew her request and pulled back. And I didn't see her getting the data as a reward for trying to burn it down. I saw her getting the data from the president as a reward for her stopping to picket things, her realizing that she was going to burn everything down and saying, you know what, this is a bigger cost than I thought it was going to be. I don't want to be the one who does this. So I will find another way to do it. And the point that I guess the disconnect for me is I don't see the quorum as a political body. It's come out of the Institute. This was not a legislative body at all. This was a scientific debate. This was a very kind of Vulcan thing that was going on with some Romulan things put into it with the absolute candor and all of that. And so for me, it was really great to see this kind of internal Vulcan debate thing going on, and some sadness to see it kind of corrupted by politics. And when Burnham realized that's really all this was a political debate and not really a logic debate, she pulled out because it was destroying kind of this delicate harmony that her brother had spent a lifetime trying to create. And so for me, I don't think the president of Vulcan was treasonous or traitorous or went against the will of her people. We don't know what the will of her people are. We know that she said, I'm not giving you anything related to the data. And she talked about being forced into a corner by Michael, right? When she was trying to push this angle of like, well, I have a right to bypass all of you and go the science route internally with the Institute. And then realize, whoa, okay, this isn't even separate from some other implications as well. I'm going to cause some other issues here. And so I guess that's where I don't see the angle of, a governmental breakdown I see it as a cultural rift that hasn't healed in Navarre, despite all of their attempts to do so. And yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was interesting. I feel like this episode combined with the previous episode is twisting a little bit the kind of time-worn Star Trek story of rogue Federation, disobey order character who is the hero. And in this case, she's getting what she wants sometimes, but she's paying a price, and often paying a higher price than she wants to, and is starting to realize that some prices she's not willing to pay. And I think that's a very interesting angle for them to take, because we see so many of the Federation characters that just don't respect that.
Wow, that was fantastic.
Thank
you very much, Kyle.
Rigid structure. There's no rigid structure on this ship. There's not. There's barely not.
I think he meant the Federation, not the ship. Yes. Well, thank you very much, Kyle. Thank you very much for that astute, very, very astute delivery, or your thoughts. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate your thoughts. I thought they were like really brilliant. It was really great to hear what you thought about Star Trek. Well, this episode, I mean,
wow, we're like all together.
I know this is like a first since we did this for Star Wars. The one Anthony didn't like.
Yeah, we've never done it.
Oh yeah, you've never. Yeah, wow.
Answer Kyle's statement, because I feel like I answered it prior in this episode, so it'll.
Yeah.
He'll just have to. Kyle just have to go back and watch all the stuff we already talked about
for Patrick's retort. But I really do appreciate all your views and all your thoughts. I thought it was a fantastic episode, as a lot of the episodes of Discovery this season have been. This, for where everyone is in this episode or in this season, for where we are, I think it's very interesting. And I like, as much as I like it, I like that there's, I don't know if I like that everyone is so disconnected, but I like that there's different, I don't know if I like that there's like really, really polar, like for Patrick has this polar, reaction to the episode, but I do like that there's a, like, okay, no, this just, like, let's discuss Trek, because this is the first episode that we did that we almost didn't really talk about the episode, more so that we talked about what it felt like to watch. Patrick really gave that, and I do appreciate it. I give you a lot of hell sometimes, but I really do appreciate your thoughts on Discovery, especially on this episode, and a lot of things you brought into perspective. And I from looking at it and reading it in chat and hearing you actually say it, it's one thing. Stephanie, as always, thank you. James, wait, which one is Stephanie? Which one? Okay, yeah. Thank you, James. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to change that one of these days.
Sure.
Thank you, and thank you, Kyle. Hopefully you'll be back for Mandalorian, or you'll be back for another episode of Discovery. Oh, the question I wanted to ask for Stephanie specifically, you had mentioned that do you want the next episode to have some sort of consequences, or do you just want do you want to see it develop as the season goes, or you want it ASAP?
What?
Because you had said,
for Michael.
Yeah, yes. Do you want it next week, or would you be satisfied with looking at it?
So here's part of the problem with the angle that Patrick pointed out of, like, it's not about the details, it's about the overall takeaway message. Like when you write a problematic character, but you don't make it clear that they're a problematic character, what actually happens is problematic people in the world feel reinforced. And so by not including consequences in that actual episode, like, you risk furthering the narrative that, like, it's okay to use people as a means to an end. And so if that consequence isn't immediate, if it does not happen in this next episode, it's not good enough. If you have to get through 4 episodes to find out that the thing that she did was wrong, like, you've missed the point. Like, you've instilled bad morality and you haven't done enough to fix it, in my opinion.
All right, well, that's fair. And with that, I'm going to end this episode right here. Again, thank you guys for coming. Stephanie got the stinger. Thank you guys for coming, and we will see you next week for another interesting debate, review, reaction to Star Trek Discovery Season 3. Hopefully it'd be much better than this one. Fingers crossed.